Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. And today, well, actually, first off, thank you guys for 30,000 subscribers. We crossed that late yesterday afternoon, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. It's been an amazing time getting here, and I hope it's just as amazing in the next 5 to 10,000 or however many we decide to go for our next goal. But thank you guys for that. That's incredibly awesome, and I didn't think we would get here as soon as we did, especially when I first started this channel way back in the day. But again, thank you guys for that so much. It's awesome. I will announce when we're doing the giveaway for 30K and all in a separate video, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But anyway, moving on from that, we have the new Tier 9 American Premium Heavy Cruiser, the Tulsa import, to review for you guys today. The Tulsa is an Oregon City class cruiser, but instead of having the traditional layout of the Oregon City class, she only has 6 203mm guns in dual gun mounted turrets. And it's an interesting boat to say the least. The hull is essentially the same as the Rochester, but the main armament and consumables, and of course a fair amount of stats, are different between the two ships. We will be diving into that here in a second. But first, a big shout out to the channel's Patreons. The generous donation of these Patreons make reviews like this possible. As I'm sure many of you guys know, I am not a CC, nor do I get any support from Wargaming whatsoever, so the donations here are the best way you can support the channel, except of course by watching the videos and watching the streams. So thanks to those guys whose names sure just popped up on screen. So now the Tulsa, let's take a look at her stats and characteristics, and then we'll go ahead and slap a module and commander build on her. So starting out with her armor: 27mm bow, 27mm side plate, 27mm stern, 27mm stern deck, 27mm mid deck, and 27mm bow deck as well. Her belt is 152mm of armor, and her citadel is above the waterline. No surprise there. It's, again, exactly the same as the Rochester over here, of course. Now for her hit points, I don't think there's any difference between the Rochester. 42,700 base, and the Rochester has 41,900, so a little bit more there, not really too much more at all. 13% torpedo damage reduction. And like I said, for her main guns, you get 6 of the 230mm guns. They reload in 5.8 seconds space. They have a 30-second 180 time, maximum dispersion, pace of 136 meters, with a base maximum range of 14.9 kilometers. Her HE does 2,800 maximum damage. She has a 14% chance of causing a fire, 34mm of HE pin, and the HE comes out the tubes at 823 meters a second. The AP, this is the super heavy AP, so she does get the improved ricochet angles and such. They do a maximum damage of 5,000, and they have an initial velocity of 762 meters a second. For her secondary, she has 12 of the standard American 127mm guns. They reload in 6 seconds space. They have a maximum range of 7 kilometers. Maximum damage on the HE shell of 1,800, 5% chance of causing a fire, and 21mm of armor penetration. Alright. She does get ASW planes. AA, she has an A rating of 80, and how does that compare to Rochester? A little bit better than Rochester there. Alright. And it is American AA, so I imagine it's quite good, and you do also get the DFA consumable if you so wish so in the consumables. She has a maximum speed of 33 knots, a turning circle radius of 750 meters a second. I'm sorry, a turning circle radius of 750 meters. She has a rudder shift time of 10.5 seconds, 750 meters a second. That'd be quite the turning rate, wouldn't it? Concealment base is 11.7 kilometers, so just, what, a little over 2 kilometers and change? No, 3 kilometers and change from her concealment to her maximum range. All right. Oh yeah, her modules and such. So like I said, she does get access to DFAA, or you can get hydroacoustic search. Hydro is out to 5 kilometers and is active for 100 seconds and reloads in 120 seconds. You get 3 charges of that base. DFAA, you get 4 charges of that base. She does also get radar out to 9 kilometers and is active for 35 seconds, reloads in 120 seconds, and you get 3 charges of that base. And you do get a heal. You get 213 hit points back per second. It is active for 28 seconds, reloads in 80 seconds, and you get 3 charges base. Alrighty. I'm going to go ahead, throw a commander and build on her. Then I'll meet you guys right back here to check her out after that. Alrighty, we've got a module and commander build on her, so let's check that out, starting with the module build. So I went with main armaments mod 1 because, well, guns are the entire point of the American cruiser branch, and we definitely need those to stay in the fight, especially only having 6 of them. I went with the surveillance radar mod 1, which increases the duration time of the radar by 20 seconds. Went with aiming systems mod 1 to rein in that dispersion on the guns a little bit. Then I went with propulsion mod 1. I did this so in case we happen to, maybe sneak in and out of an island, we have a little bit more of a boost to our speed. That's what I see happening a lot to American cruisers playing battleships. They're trying to, slinky in and out behind an island, and often they just aren't quick enough to get back behind cover. So I went with that to help out there. And plus, like steering gears, you don't really open water gunboat with American cruisers. And damage con mod 2, sure, maybe, but this ship already has the cruiser burn time, so I guess if I find myself on fire in excessive amount, you could go and swap this out, but we'll see how this works. Concealment, because being sneaky is nice. And then gunfire control system mod 2, which gives us extra range. And I will be going with DFAA because Nakhimov just got released, and, well, yep. Now our radar is active for 46.2 seconds now. Fantastic. Alright, and I am using Halsey on here, using my usual American cruiser build. Got to grease the gears on, along with Demolition Expert. Then consumable enhancements to get that radar time up a little bit more. Adrenaline Rush, heavy AP shells for more AP shell damage. Superintendent for extra heal, radar, and DFAA. And then Survivability Expert for a little bit more health, and also that helps out with the heal as well. And then Concealment Expert. So now the ship has a maximum range of, they moved everything around to me, 17.2 kilometers, which is pretty good for a tier 9 cruiser. Oh, and also the turrets now rotate in 25 seconds. And for her maneuverability, we do have the speed flag on. She can now go 34.7 knots. Her concealment's now down to 9.5 kilometers, which is very nice. And she now has 46,750 hit points on her. And I do believe that's everything that should have been affected by the build that we can look at in port. Yes, it is. Oh, the fire chance and the shell damage. Fire chance is now up to 17%, and shell damage is up to with the AP up to 5,250 maximum damage per shell. Alright, so with all that on her, I'm going to go ahead and go into battle, play a few rounds in her, meet right back in a voiceover review to give you guys my impressions of the Tulsa. Hey guys, voiceover Mountbatten here, after playing the Tulsa for quite some time. So, this ship, the Tulsa. The Tulsa is essentially a undergunned Des Moines on a tier 8 hull, it seems like. Although, of course, the hull is essentially the Rochester, which is essentially the Baltimore, which is in the Des Moines tech tree, which is similar to the Des Moines in many aspects of course, the armor layout, thickness, and such. So you could really essentially say shortly that it is a less Des Moines, and it really shows in its performance. You have Des Moines guns, very similar DPM to the Des Moines in terms of the, I guess, RPM, not necessarily DPM, because of course you do have one less gun per turret. So that is a bit of a hang up on the ship for me. Don't get me wrong, the guns are nice. The guns are very nice. I just found myself in many cases wishing I had more of them. So you're essentially paying for a Des Moines at tier 9 that's slightly less Des Moines, slightly less firepower, but you have Des Moines guns and a very similar reload time to Des Moines at tier 9, where you can of course be top tier and see tier 7 ships with Des Moines guns, which is a very attractive aspect, I'm sure, to many American cruiser mains. Because yes, they are quite good guns. You got the improved AP pins and the pin angles and all that jazz. The HE is pretty decent, especially if you put the flags on and such. I didn't really, and this is what really surprised me. I didn't really find myself struggling to start fires in the ship because you could most of the time get quite a few shells to hit on target, and of course with the reload of the guns, that 5.8 second reload time, it's not like you have to wait a long time before the guns are ready to go again, and you'll be starting fires yet again. It's a fine fire starter, not that the Des Moines isn't, because of course it's same thing, but 9 guns instead of 6. Well, where it falls short is that whole 6 gun part. In many situations where you will find yourself in a similar situation as you were to, of course, the Des Moines or any of the mainline American cruisers, especially the high tier ones, when you're bound to the target, you only have 4 guns. And 4 is less than 6. In the same situation in the Des Moines, you would be bound to the target with 6 of Des Moines guns. And there's plenty of salvos where the dispersion likes to troll you, and, if you had 2 more shells in the mix, you might have actually hit the target instead of all 4 shells bracketing the target. And many a time with Des Moines AP and HE, you only really need 1 or 2 shells to hit to cause a fire, or if the AP hits, can keep doing damage with that amazing reload time. But with the Tulsa, it falls short in that regards. Now, I have seen this ship described as a much more short-range Des Moines, and sure, this thing is pretty decent at close-in ranges. Of course, with the base range of 14.9 kilometers, that's hardly long range by tier 10 standards, which, let's face it, you're in a tier 9 premium ship, well, a tier 9 ship in general, you are going to be up tier to tier 10 in almost all of your matches. I was. The match you're watching right now is actually one of the only 2 tier 9 games I played in the Tulsa in the 7 games that I played for this review. So yeah, you're going to be up tiered a lot, and that's why I went the range mod, because you get 17 kilometer range, which is much more useful by tier 10 standards. Keep this in mind too, this is a tier 8 hull at tier 10, at tier 9, well, essentially going to be at tier 10 a lot, like I just said. And it's being introduced more and more and more and more at tier 10? Big gun battleships. GK's leaving the tech line, going to the armory, and being replaced by the Prussia, which has 18-inch guns. And I'm sure the next full new battleship line after the German battle cruisers will have some very large guns at tier 10. And we have things like the Colombo there with 16 shells of sap waiting to obliterate you too. So, yeah. Now you do get the hill. The hill is very nice. I would have very much liked a similar here on the Rochester if we could have managed to get that worked out some way, shape, or form. But the heel does save you from some mistakes that you'll make, and I'm not, by any stretch of the imagination, an American heavy cruiser player. I played a lot of American heavy cruisers, but they're not exactly my favorite class in the cruiser world, although they are really good. The guns are really good, and again, that's no exception here for the Tulsa. I just wish it had more of them. Now, I did wind up swapping the DFAA over for the Hydro because I didn't get any CV games, and naturally, when I swapped DFA for Hydro, I see an enemy Richtofen on the other side, of course. So the base AA is pretty good. I mean, it's American AA. It managed to hold its own, even though it is just a little bit better than the Rochester. I would imagine if I actually had DFA, it probably would have been a lot better against the Richtofen, but hey, that's the way matchmaking goes sometimes. Now, overall, the ship. Would I recommend you get this? Here's my 2 cents on getting this ship. If you, for some reason, want a close-in Des Moines that you want to get for coal, rather than grinding out the Des Moines, there's this handy little ship called Salem that's available for coal too, which is a Des Moines geared toward more closer range engagement. Has a 8.5 kilometer radar, a little bit shorter than the Tulsa, but you get all of Des Moines' guns. It's reload time, it's AP, and you get a super heal on top of that. And it's for coal too, just a little bit more coal than the Tulsa. Tulsa's I think 28,000 coal right now, I believe. The Salem just a little bit more. I think it's like 240 right now. So yeah, just for another 3 weeks of getting your daily coal containers and completing some coal missions, you can get the Salem. Now, the only reason I would imagine you'd want this over the Salem is, well, two things. One, it's a tier 9, so it can get up to tier 10. And for farming credits, that's great, because you can farm tier 10 ships with the HG on the ship, and it's pretty decent for that, so you get an improved economy boost there when you're doing damage to ships of a higher tier than you. And 2, it's got radar and hydro. You don't have to pick between radar or hydro, it gets both. Where on the Salem, you gotta pick between the radar consumable or the hydro consumable. But I mean, that's a pretty easy pick on the Salem. You go, of course, with the radar, because radar. But if for whatever reason you want radar and hydro, the Tulsa does get that. I'm not gonna lie, that's a really nice combination to be able to spot DDs and their torpedoes, especially for a ship that's designed for more close-in engagements. That is a very nice set to have. But I'd honestly get the Salem. It's a better ship all around, in my opinion. Again, you get all 9 of the guns instead of just 6 of the guns. Now, when the Tulsa is top tier, in the 2 top tier games that I had in it, it was very, very good, especially fighting tier 7 ships with these 203mm guns, with the improved American AP and the good HE and the heal and the radar and the hydro. Yeah, it's great in that situation, but let's face reality. You're going to be in tier 10 games most of the time. So I'd pass on it in terms of picking it up right away. Now, later on down the road, once you filled out your coal collection a little bit, yeah, I'd get this ship eventually. Again, it wouldn't be in my top 5 coal ships. It's a nice ship, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of really good coal ships out there right now. I'd definitely be picking up, the Palmer and the Napoli, the Marceau, the Kearsarge over this thing for sure. But it wouldn't be too far beyond my top 5 picks for coal ships at the moment. Overall, if I had to give this ship a number rating, this is something that you guys asked that I start to do, and yeah, I can understand it's a lot better than just saying I'd buy it or I wouldn't buy it. I would give this ship a very solid 6 out of 10. Its positives are it's got the Des Moines guns at tier 9, so you have the potential to see tier 7 ships. It gets that hydro and radar together. That's a very nice combo, very special in dealing with DDs, and it gets the heal too on top of that. Its negatives are that it's got a tier 8 hull at tier 9, which we'll see tier 10. It only has 6 of the Des Moines guns, and they have a very, 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 very small base range, and +2 for only getting 6 guns. You don't get a huge boost to your reload time. It is, in all regards, I do believe, the same as the Des Moines base reload time. Let me check here real quick. On the Salem, it's exactly the same, and on the Des Moines, it's so Des Moines has a 5.8 second base reload time, and the Tulsa has a 5.8 second base reload time, so you get 3 less guns, but 0.3 seconds more on your reload time. So yeah, the positives don't really outweigh the negatives for me here. Again, it's a decent ship. I would pick it up eventually, but definitely not within my first 5 picks for coal ships right now. So guys, let me know what you guys think about the Tulsa in the comments down below. Are you planning on picking her up? If so, tell me why. If not, tell me why as well. Again, thank you guys so much for 30,000 subscribers. We passed that earlier this evening. I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Friday. And we will be live streaming right here tonight on the channel and on Twitch. So please come out and check us out for that. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.